Welcome to Football Story. Today's episode, why are Bryan Mbeumo and Marc Guéhi top transfer targets for Newcastle United? But before we dive into that, let's take a moment to assess the state of Newcastle's squad. Next season, the club is back in the Champions League, which means one thing: midweek fixtures. And from last season's experience, we know exactly what that demands. In 2023-2024, Newcastle had to rely heavily on the same core players. This led to burnout. Newcastle ended up being the team with the highest number of injuries in the entire Premier League. One particular match stands out: away match at Paris Saint-Germain on the 29th of November, 2023. Despite UEFA allowing 12 substitute names, Newcastle could only list 7. 2 of those were goalkeepers. 3 were academy call-ups: Michael Ndewene, James Huntley and Ben Parkinson. The last 2? Both were left-backs. The squad wasn't ready, but it wasn't due to poor planning. Newcastle qualified for the Champions League ahead of schedule. The team just didn't have the depth. Now they've learned from that. Financials have been cleaned up in line with PSR rules. The club is preparing seriously for what's ahead. So what does the squad actually look like now, and where are the gaps? Let's break it down into 3 groups. Group A are players who are good enough to be UCL starters. Group B are capable backups. They can step in as starters in some matches or at least provide real impact when needed. Group C are depth players and young prospects. They're either not ready yet or only suitable for protecting leads late in the game. Let's start with Group A. Nick Pope. Not great with his feet, but absolutely dependable when it comes to shot stopping. Sven Botman, a central figure who's proven his worth. Fabian Schär. If he maintains last season's level, he remains a key piece. Tino Livramento. Has handled top-level attackers on both flanks. Dan Burn. Yes, he's slow and not great on the ball, but his height and passion are weapons. Lewis Hall. If he stays fit, he's one of the top young left-backs in the league. Joelinton. Without him, the midfield noticeably weakens. Sandro Tonali, the heartbeat of the middle of the park. Harvey Barnes, clinical when in position. Bruno Guimaraes. When he's sharp, Newcastle's midfield becomes elite. Anthony Gordon. Needs refinement in final decision-making, but still starting material. Alexander Isak. World class. Just not someone you can rely on to start every single match. Now for Group B. Kieran Trippier. If he can stay fit, he still offers leadership and quality. Lewis Miley. Shows great potential, calm, composed, just not a game changer yet. Jacob Murphy. Second most assists in the Premier League last season, dangerous when in form. Now Group C. Martin Dubravka. Good with the ball at his feet, but hasn't proven reliable enough in key moments. Emil Kraft. Versatile, though limited, still useful. William Osula. Talented, but needs at least another year or 2. Then we have John Ruddy, Mark Gillespie, Jamal Lascelles, Matt Targett, Joe Willock, Sean Longstaff, and Callum Wilson. These players don't add significant impact anymore. But to be clear, this is just my opinion. Feel free to share yours in the comments. So here's something to consider. Try naming the first 11 starters for Newcastle right now. Easy, right? Because they barely rotate. There's almost no room for rest. That's a problem in a long season. Now imagine having 11 in Group A, 7 in Group B, all of whom can cover multiple positions. That's sustainable. The rest can be filled out with Group C. Let's take a look at position-by-position analysis under a 4-3-3 system. Goalkeeper. Nick Pope is the clear starter. Behind him, only Martin Dubravka, John Ruddy and Marc Gillespie. None are suitable as true backups. Right back, Tino Livramento is the main man. Trippier can still step in. Kraft is last resort depth. Left back, Lewis Hall leads. Trippier again can fill in. Target is the fullback. Right centre back, Schär is the only true option. Kraft and Lascelles offer coverage but limited reliability. Left centre back, Botman and Byrne. Solid. Defensive midfield, the number 6. Tonali is the starter. Miley is back up. Longstaff offers depth. Central midfield, number 8. Joelinton and Bruno start. Miley again as B-level cover. Willock and Longstaff sit deeper in the pecking order. This position doesn't just need one reliable player, it clearly requires 2. We saw it throughout this season. Whenever Joelinton was unavailable, the team simply didn't have anyone who could fill his role effectively. That's why this position should be treated as a top priority, just as important as any other. Because without proper cover here, the team risks losing balance in midfield every time he's out. Left inside forward, Barnes and Gordon can rotate here. Willock only as an emergency. Right inside forward, no, a player in Group A. Murphy is back up. Osula still developing. Striker, Isak leads the line. Osula and Wilson are C-level cover. So what are the transfer priorities? First, bring in a Group A right inside forward. It's no surprise Newcastle moved for Michael Olise in last season. Second, upgrade Group B in 3 key roles: goalkeeper, right centre-back and striker. That's why names like James Trafford and Marc Guéhi were being constantly linked to the club. Third, reinforce Group C with young players who can eventually take over from ageing veterans like Trippier, Schär and Byrne. How much would this cost? £50 million for a right inside forward, £40 million for a right centre-back, £30 million for a backup striker, and £20 million for a goalkeeper. Total, £140 million. Now back to our question. Why are players like Mbeumo and Guéhi needed for Newcastle? Mbeumo offers pace, sharp decision-making and Premier League experience. He brings something Newcastle doesn't currently have on the right flank. Guéhi? He's calm, strong, reads the game well and is already a defensive leader at Crystal Palace. If Newcastle lands both, they're not just filling gaps, they're elevating the entire project. Let me know what you think. Would these moves push Newcastle to the next level? And if you haven't already, hit subscribe. This is Football Story. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments below.